Hi everyone. For most of us, this has been a time of celebration with family and friends for the winter holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, upcoming New Year. Whatever you celebrate at this time of year, most of us spend that time with family. And if you did, I hope you had a wonderful and amazing holiday season. And when you celebrate your next birthday or Valentine's Day or Easter or any other holiday that you celebrate, I hope that you get to spend it with family and friends, and it is incredibly enjoyable because for most of us, that's what the holidays are: fun, enjoyment, and time with people that we care about. However, if you're in the trucking business, holidays can be stressful and full of a lot of decisions. Do you go home and spend time with family and friends and not make money? Or do you try to make money with the time that you have at the holidays, less drivers on the road and less frustration with more truckers being off than working? Or do you do a little combination of both? It's a hard decision for a truck driver whether they want to go home for holidays and other special events, because anytime they're not driving, they're not making miles. And unlike most jobs, truckers' pay typically isn't consistent if you're an over-the-road driver. You're paid by the miles that you drive. So taking time off can be very costly and stressful. So let's discuss how truck drivers handle holidays and family events and their driving on this week's Trucking Tuesday. Hi everyone, I'm Jen and I work in the trucking industry on the office side, and I love to share what the industry is all about. Today we're discussing what decisions drivers have to make about going home for holidays and special family events and how they balance that with their income of driving. So most drivers who are over-the-road drivers, who are regionals or true over-the-road drivers, don't go home every night, much less every week. Some are out for weeks or months even at a time before they go home. And they're paid usually per mile or percentage of the loads that they drive, which means if they're not rolling, they're not making money. And most companies don't provide paid off time for holidays or other events. It's just not how the industry works, unfortunately. So what are drivers to do when it comes time for holidays, birthdays, events with kids in school, and other things that they might want to be home for? They have to make a super hard decision about if they want to go home and how long they want to stay out and what events are truly important for them to be home for. For example, lots of drivers who have kids want to be home for first day of school, last day of school, any major events with the schools, like plays or performances. If the child is in a sports team, school or otherwise, they may want to be home for the important games. And they also will want to be home for the big holidays. For many people, that's things like Easter, 4th of July in this country, Christmas, Thanksgiving in this country, and any other major holidays that are important to them. And they have to make a decision about how long they want to stay out for each of those events. If it's just for a night, if it's for several days, especially like right now, it's in between Christmas and New Year's, and many drivers will choose to go home for one holiday or the other. The other problem with the holidays is the amount of work, because most businesses are closed on the major national holidays. And that means that not every facility is going to be open, even if it's a drop and hook facility. They may be completely shut, like the automotive industries shut down entirely for major holidays. At big holidays such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, they're shut down for a week sometimes or more. So there's less customers, less available freight, but at the same time, there's typically less drivers competing for the freight that's out there. So it's a lot for a driver to consider. Other things they have to consider is how they get home. Is there a customer that's close to their home that will get them home without too much trouble? For example, we have drivers that live up in Michigan and Minnesota, which isn't where we go too frequently. So we have to book loads for those drivers to go home. Now, that's not a problem. We know that. The drivers give us plenty of warning and everybody's happy. Other drivers may live a pretty decent distance from a customer, somewhere between 50 and 100 miles, and we'll pay them those mileage to go home and then to come back out, so they're not losing money going home. But there's a lot of decisions, and different carriers handle these situations in different ways. So all of these mathematical equations have to go through a driver's mind when they decide to take off. And that's not including if someone in the family gets sick or there's an accident. And we'll cover that in another video. Trying to get drivers home in an emergency situation can be exceptionally difficult, as you can imagine. But just getting drivers home in time for the holidays can be a balancing act too. Drivers like to stay out as long as possible, and they may say, hey, I need to be home for an event happening at 8 o'clock on Friday night. And if they get held up on a delivery on Thursday because of their hours of service, they may not make it home. So we usually tell drivers, hey, plan on being home a day before you have to be home. And some listen and some don't. So it's a real difficult balancing act. And one of the biggest things that helps with the balancing act of keeping drivers rolling, making the money that they want to make, and getting them home to see their families is communication. At my carrier, we ask, if possible, for drivers to give us at least a week notification of when they like to be home. Obviously, emergencies are going to be different, but for the most part, if they give us 1 week, we can plan them accordingly to get them home. And then we'll ask them to give us a rough idea of how long they'd like to be home. And of course, they can change their mind. They can come back early. They can call us and say, hey, I want to take a couple more days off. We are very flexible with our drivers, especially around the holidays and big family events. We want them to have a good work-life balance, which is really difficult for drivers. Now, with all the technology that we have these days, where you can video call people, you can use apps like Snapchat and Facebook Messenger to see someone's face while you're out on the road, the loneliness and the missing of family is lessened a little bit, but there's nothing like really being there. So it's really important when a driver asks to go home that we do get them home, and we try to meet those requests as best as possible. Unfortunately, like I said, things happen. They may get stuck on a load. Maybe a shipper or receiver closes before they told us they were going to. And in those cases, we as a carrier have to make a decision that's best not only for the driver, but for the customer as well. And that may mean that we have to find a place for them to park the trailer where it's going to be safe, and that may be a paid lot that is secure. It may be that the driver takes the load home with them and then delivers later, and we just have to tell the customer, hey, the driver's coming back to work on this day and this is when we can get it delivered. Sometimes we have to find another driver to recover that load. So there's lots of things that go into getting a driver home. But the most important thing is that the drivers have that work-life balance. And at my carrier, and I know many other carriers that are out there, that is a priority, especially to keep drivers happy and to keep them wanting to work for you. If you don't take care of your people, if you don't respect their requests, especially if there's someone that doesn't go home very often, it's going to be a bad situation. So we definitely try to get people home. And when there are problems, we try to solve them. For example, I had a gentleman that was trying to get home for Christmas, and he wanted to be home by Christmas Eve so he could go to church service with his family. And on the 23rd, the place that he was supposed to go deliver closed early, and he had 150 plus miles to drive home. And I knew the customer wasn't going to wait until after New Year's to want this freight, because he was planning on going home and not coming back out until the 2nd or the 3rd. So basically, I had to find a place where he could leave the trailer where it would be safe and locked up, and then we were going to recover it with another driver that lived in the area that was going to go back out sooner. So, you know, you just have to do a lot of a lot of moving pieces all at once just to make sure that the customers are happy and most of all the drivers are happy, and that everyone balances out. Because if we upset a customer, we could lose a customer, which means that's less freight. And if we upset a driver, we could lose a driver, which means we don't have someone to take care of that freight. Plus, you could get a really bad reputation if you don't take care of your people. So it's a really tricky balancing act to get drivers home, not just for the holidays, but to have that work-life balance that they want. But we try to take care of them and the customers, like I said, as best we can. So that's something I actually really enjoy about my job, is being able to solve those kinds of problems and take care of people in situations like this and let them know that, hey, we are doing everything we can to take care of you. And sometimes it's just a matter of talking them through it, because they don't necessarily, drivers may not necessarily see a good solution, and we will work our best to find a good solution. So I enjoy being that person that can give them that resolution, take care of them as best we can, and let them know, hey, I appreciate you working with me and understanding, and we're gonna do everything we can to take care of you. So I really appreciate you guys following along in this series of Trucking Tuesday. If this is something that you're interested in, or you have a question about trucking, feel free to leave a comment on this video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Feel free to like and subscribe. And next time we will be talking about another exciting topic with driving, and that is going to be all the certifications and stickers and requirements that are required on a truck at the beginning of every new year. And let me tell you, paperwork might not sound exciting to you, but it can get really exciting really quick. So thanks again, folks, for being here. Stay safe out on the road. If you see a trucker, make sure you thank them, and have a great and safe day.